They say marriage is not just between two people, it's between two families. But what they don't tell you is what happens when one family decides you're not good enough, when they decide to destroy you, and what happens when life gives you the chance to prove them all wrong. My name is Sana, and this is the story of how my in-laws threw me out like garbage, and how years later they came crawling back, desperate for my help. It was February 2018 when I got married. I was 24 years old, working as a junior software engineer at a tech company in Karachi. I'd completed my degree in computer science from NED University in 2016 and had been working for 2 years. My husband's name was Hamza. We'd met through a family friend in December 2017. The courtship was brief, just 2 months, but it felt right. He worked at a bank, came from what seemed like a decent family. His father owned a small import-export business in Sadar. The wedding was on February 14th, 2018. Valentine's Day. I thought it was romantic, a fresh start, a new chapter. But from day one, I knew something was wrong with his family. His mother, Shagufta, looked at me like I was an intruder. His father, Khalid, barely acknowledged my presence. And his younger sister, Mahin, made it clear she thought her brother had married beneath him. "She's just a working girl," I heard Mahin whisper to someone at the wedding. "No family background, no status. I don't know what Bai was thinking." I ignored it, told myself it was just wedding day stress, that things would get better once we settled into married life. I was so naive. Hamza and I moved into his family home in Gulshan Iqbal right after the wedding. A large house with 4 bedrooms. His parents, his sister, us, and his younger brother Arif, who was still in university. From the very first morning of February 15th, 2018, the treatment began. I was expected to wake up at 5 a.m. to help with breakfast. Expected to clean, cook, serve everyone before leaving for my 9 a.m. office job. "This is what daughters-in-law do," Shagufta would say. "We all went through it, now it's your turn." I really tried. I'd wake up exhausted, help with housework, rush to get ready, barely make it to work on time. Come home at 7 p.m. and immediately start helping with dinner. Serve everyone, clean up. By the time I'd finish, it would be 11 p.m. Hamza, he did nothing. When I'd ask for help, he'd say, "That's not how it works in our family. My mother never asked my father to help." "But I work too," I'd protest. "I'm as tired as you are." "Then quit your job. Stay home like a proper wife should." That was the first major red flag. 3 weeks into the marriage, and he was already trying to control my career. I refused. My job wasn't just about money. It was about my independence, my identity. I'd worked too hard to just give it up because of outdated expectations. That refusal started a war. Over the next few months from March to July 2018, the treatment got worse. Much worse. It wasn't just about household work anymore. It was about breaking me down completely. Every morning, Shagufta would find something to criticize. "The tea is too sweet. The roti is too thick. You didn't clean the bathroom properly. You're lazy, ungrateful. We gave you everything and this is how you repay us." Mahin would make snide comments. "Babhai, your clothes are so cheap. Don't you have anything decent to wear? You're embarrassing the family." Even Khalid, who mostly stayed silent, would occasionally add his contempt. "Working women have no shame. In our time, women knew their place." And Hamza, he never defended me, not once. When I'd complain to him, he'd say I was overreacting, being too sensitive, that I should just adjust. "It's normal family dynamics," he'd say. "You're making a big deal out of nothing." But it wasn't nothing. It was constant, relentless emotional torture. I was being treated like a servant, not a family member, not even a human being. By June 2018, I'd lost weight. I wasn't sleeping properly. My work performance was suffering. My boss called me in for a meeting on June 15th. "Sana, what's going on? You're always tired, always distracted. Your code quality has dropped. Is everything okay?" I wanted to tell him, wanted to break down and explain. But what would I say? That my marriage was a nightmare, that I was trapped. Instead, I lied. I'm fine, just some family stress. I'll do better. But I wasn't fine. I was drowning, and nobody was throwing me a lifeline. The final straw came on August 5th, 2018. I'd been married for exactly 6 months. 6 months of hell. It was a Sunday. My parents had come to visit. They hadn't seen me since the wedding. They lived in Hyderabad and couldn't visit often because of my father's health issues. My mother took one look at me and knew. Beta, you've lost so much weight. Are you okay? Are they treating you well? I wanted to tell her the truth, but Shagufta was sitting right there, fake smile plastered on her face. She's perfectly fine, Shagufta said. Just adjusting to married life, it takes time. After my parents left, everything exploded. Shagufta called me to her room. The entire family was there. How dare you make us look bad in front of your parents, she hissed. They were looking at you like we're torturing you. I didn't say anything. Your face said everything. You made us look like villains. Maybe because that's what you are, I said quietly. 6 months of suppressed anger finally coming out. The room went silent. Shagufta's face turned red. What did you just say? You heard me. You've been torturing me since day one, treating me like a servant, humiliating me, and nobody says anything. Hamza stood up. Sana apologized to my mother right now. No, I'm done apologizing for existing. I'm done trying to please people who will never be satisfied. That's when Khalid spoke. His voice was cold, final. If you can't respect this family, you don't belong in this house. Pack your things and leave. I stared at them. You're kicking me out. You're throwing a tantrum like a child, Shagufta said. Go back to your parents. Stay there until you learn some manners. I looked at Hamza, waiting for him to say something, to defend me, to tell them they couldn't just kick me out. He looked away. That's when I knew. He was never going to stand up for me. He was never going to choose me over them. Our marriage was a sham. Fine, I said, my voice shaking. I'll leave, but I'm not coming back. We'll see about that, Mahin laughed. Where will you go? Your parents can't support you. You have no options. But she was wrong. I had one option, myself. That night, August 5th, 2018, I packed a small bag. My clothes, my documents, my laptop. I called a friend from university, Aisha, who lived in defense. Can I stay with you for a few days? Of course. What happened? I'll explain when I get there. I walked out of that house at 11 p.m. Nobody stopped me. Nobody even came out to see me leave. It was like they'd been waiting for this moment, waiting for an excuse to get rid of me. I sat in the Kareem, looking back at that house, and made a promise to myself. I would never go back, not as a beggar, not as someone who needed them. If I ever saw them again, it would be on my terms. When I was strong enough, successful enough, powerful enough that they'd regret every single moment they made me feel worthless. Yisha opened her apartment door at midnight and immediately hugged me. Tell me everything. I did. I broke down and told her about the 6 months of abuse, humiliation, and betrayal. She listened without judgment. You're staying here as long as you need, she said firmly. And tomorrow, we're getting you a lawyer. The next morning, August 6th, 2018, I woke up with a clear mind for the first time in months. I was done being a victim. It was time to take control of my life. I called my office and asked for a week off for a family emergency. My boss, Mr. Ahmed, was understanding. Then Aisha and I went to see a lawyer, Mrs. Rubina Khan, in Clifton. I explained the situation. I want a divorce, I said firmly, on grounds of cruelty and abandonment. Do you have evidence? She asked. I have text messages, photos of myself showing weight loss, medical records showing stress and anxiety, and I have witnesses who saw how they treated me. That should be enough. We'll file the case, but be prepared, it won't be easy. They'll fight it. Let them fight. I'm not backing down. We filed for divorce on August 10th, 2018 in the family court. The notice was sent to Hamza and his family. They were shocked. They'd expected me to come crawling back within days, begging for forgiveness. Instead, I was severing all ties legally. Hamza called me on August 12th. Sana, what are you doing? Divorce? Are you serious? Completely serious. But you can't just leave. We're married. A marriage where I'm treated like garbage, where your family abuses me and you say nothing. That's not a marriage. That's imprisonment. My parents are furious. They're saying you've destroyed our family's reputation. Good. Let them feel a fraction of what I felt. I hung up and blocked his number, blocked all of their numbers. I was done with that chapter. While the divorce proceedings dragged on through late 2018 and early 2019, I threw myself into work. I requested to be put on challenging projects, learned new programming languages, worked late nights, not because I was running from my problems, but because I was running toward my goals. My boss noticed. On December 20th, 2018, he called me into his office. Sana, I've been watching your work. You've completely transformed in the last few months. Your code is exceptional. Your dedication is unmatched. I'm promoting you to senior software engineer with a 40% salary increase. I almost cried. Thank you, sir. This means everything to me. You earned it. Keep this up and you'll go far. The divorce was finalized on March 15th, 2019. 7 months after I'd walked out, the court ruled in my favor, citing cruelty and lack of maintenance. I was finally free. By June 2019, I'd saved enough money to rent my own small apartment in Clifton. Just 1 bedroom, but it was mine. Nobody could take it away. But I wasn't satisfied. I wanted more, not just for myself, but to prove something. To prove that the girl they'd thrown away was capable of extraordinary things. I started taking online courses in software architecture and project management, attended tech conferences, networked aggressively, applied for positions at multinational companies. In September 2019, I got an offer from a major tech firm. Senior development lead, triple my previous salary. I accepted immediately. By 2020, during the pandemic, I was leading a team of 15 developers. We were working on cutting-edge projects. I was being recognized in the industry. And I was just getting started. In January 2021, something incredible happened. My team developed a software solution that got noticed by international clients. Our company started getting contracts from the US and Europe. I was promoted again on February 1st, 2021. Engineering manager, 6-figure salary, stock options, benefits I'd only dreamed about. I moved to a beautiful 2-bedroom apartment in Defense on March 15th, 2021, exactly 2 years after my divorce. Furnished it the way I wanted, modern, minimalist, perfect. I bought my first car in May 2021, a Honda Civic, nothing too flashy, but it was mine, earned with my own hard work. My parents were so proud. My father's health had improved, and they'd visit me every few months. They'd see my apartment, my success, and my mother would cry happy tears. Beta, look at you. Look at what you've become. We were so worried when you left that house, but you proved everyone wrong. Amy, I proved it to myself. That's what matters. By October 2021, I was being headhunted by international companies. I accepted a position as director of engineering at a Silicon Valley company's Karachi office. The salary was astronomical, the opportunities unlimited. I was 30 years old, divorced, living alone, and absolutely thriving. I had friends, a career I loved, financial independence, and peace of mind. Everything Hamza's family said I couldn't have without them, I had, and more. But the universe wasn't done with the story yet, because karma was about to complete its circle. I didn't keep track of Hamza or his family. I'd blocked them everywhere, moved on completely. They were strangers to me. But in November 2021, I got a call from an old mutual acquaintance, someone from the wedding, Rabia. Sana, I know you probably don't want to hear this, but I thought you should know. Hamza's family business collapsed. Khalid uncle made some terrible investments. They lost everything. The business, their house, everything. I felt nothing, no satisfaction, no sympathy, just indifference. Why are you telling me this? Because Hamza has been asking about you, trying to find you. He's desperate. I think he wants to reach out. Tell him not to. I have nothing to say to him or his family. Just thought you should know. They're in really bad shape, living in a small rented apartment in Gulshan now. Khalid uncle had a heart attack. He's barely managing. Mahin's engagement broke off when the guy's family found out about their financial situation. I hung up and went about my day. Their problems weren't mine. They'd made their choices. Now they lived with the consequences. But apparently, the universe had other plans. Because 3 weeks later, on November 28th, 2021, my doorbell rang at 8 p.m. I opened it, expecting a delivery. Instead, standing at my doorstep were Shagufta and Mahin, looking older, tired, desperate. For a moment, we just stared at each other. The last time I'd seen them was August 5th, 2018. Over 3 years ago, the night they kicked me out. Sana, Shagufta's voice cracked. Can we talk, please? I should have slammed the door, should have told them to leave. But something made me pause. Curiosity, maybe. Or the desire to see what desperation looked like on people who'd once treated me like trash. How did you find my address? We asked around, called people. We needed to find you. Why? Mahin looked down. Shagufta's eyes filled with tears. Can we come inside, just for a few minutes? Against my better judgment, I let them in. They stepped into my apartment and looked around, at the modern furniture, the expensive decorations, the life I'd built. They sat on my sofa, like strangers in a foreign land. Say what you came to say, I said, remaining standing. Shagufta took a shaky breath. We need your help. I laughed, actually laughed. You need my help. The same people who threw me out like garbage, who treated me like a servant, who made my life hell for 6 months. We were wrong, she whispered. We were so wrong about you, about everything. You think an apology fixes this? Do you have any idea what you did to me? What those 6 months did to my mental health? How long it took me to rebuild myself? Mahin finally spoke. We're desperate, Sana. My father had a heart attack. We have medical bills we can't pay. We lost everything. The business collapsed. We had to sell the house. We're living in a tiny apartment, barely making ends meet. And why is that my problem? Because Hamza said. He said you're successful now, that you're working for some big company, that you're doing really well. So that's why they were here. Not to apologize, not to make amends, but because they needed money. Let me get this straight, I said slowly. You're here because you need money, not because you're sorry, not because you regret what you did, but because you think I owe you something. It's not like that. Then what is it like? Explain it to me. Shagufta started crying. We have nowhere else to go, no one else to ask. Hamza can't get a good job. Arif is still studying. Mahin's engagement broke because of our financial situation. We're drowning in debt. And I thought, maybe you'd help, for Hamza's sake. For Hamza's sake, the man who stood by and watched you torture me, who never once defended me, who let you kick me out, that Hamza. He regrets it. We all regret it. No, you don't. You regret that your life fell apart. You regret that you need someone you thought was beneath you. But you don't regret how you treated me. If your business was still thriving, if your house was still standing, you wouldn't be here. You'd still think you were better than me. Mahin looked up, anger flashing in her eyes. We gave you everything. We accepted you into our family, and this is how you repay us, by being cruel when we're at our lowest. That was it. That was the moment I'd been waiting for. The moment they showed their true colors hadn't changed at all. You gave me nothing but pain, I said coldly. You didn't accept me. You tolerated me until you found an excuse to throw me away. And now you have the audacity to come to my home, the home I built without any of you, and ask for help. And when I refuse, you call me cruel. I walked to the door and opened it. Get out. Sana, please. Get out. They stood up slowly. Shagufta was crying openly now. You've changed, Sana. You've become so heartless. No, I said quietly. I've become strong. There's a difference. You tried to break me. You wanted me to fail. You celebrated when I left because you thought I'd come crawling back. But I didn't. I built a life you can't even imagine. And now you want a piece of it, after everything. We're family. We were never family. Family supports each other. Family doesn't abuse and discard people. You're strangers who share a legal history with me, nothing more. Maheen turned at the door. You'll regret this. When you're older, when you're alone, you'll regret being so vindictive. I smiled, a real smile. I won't, because I'll remember this moment. The moment I chose myself over people who never chose me. The moment I refused to save people who tried to destroy me. That's not vindictive. That's justice. They left, I closed the door. And for the first time in 3 years, I felt complete closure. They'd come begging. I'd refused. The circle was complete. I didn't help them, and I didn't feel guilty about it, because some bridges aren't meant to be rebuilt. Some people don't deserve second chances, and some wounds run too deep to ever heal. In the weeks after that confrontation on November 28th, 2021, I had a lot of thoughts. Some people might judge me for not helping, for being cruel to people in need. But here's what I learned through all of this. Forgiveness doesn't mean you have to help someone who hurt you. Healing doesn't mean you have to let toxic people back into your life. And moving on doesn't mean you have to forget what they did. I forgave them in my own way, by letting go of the anger that was poisoning me, by refusing to let their actions define my future. But forgiveness doesn't mean reconciliation. It doesn't mean I owed them anything. They'd made their choices. When they had power over me, they chose cruelty. They chose abuse. They chose to discard me. Now that I had power, I chose to protect myself, to refuse to be their savior, to let them face the consequences of their own actions. That's not revenge. That's boundaries. That's self-respect. That's refusing to set yourself on fire to keep others warm. By December 2021, I'd moved on completely, focused on my work, started dating someone new, a colleague who treated me with respect and kindness, someone who valued my independence and celebrated my success. In March 2022, 4 years after my divorce, I got engaged to this man. We got married in a small ceremony on September 10th, 2022. Just close friends and family. No drama, no pretense, just love and mutual respect. My life today in November 2024 is everything I fought for. A loving partnership, a thriving career, financial stability, peace of mind, and the knowledge that I survived the worst and came out stronger. So what's the moral of this story? What should you take away from my journey? First, never let anyone make you feel worthless. Your value doesn't decrease because someone fails to see it. Hamza's family treated me like garbage because they felt superior, but their opinion of me had nothing to do with my actual worth. Second, walking away is sometimes the strongest thing you can do. Society pressures women to adjust to toxic marriages, to suffer in silence, to sacrifice everything for family harmony. But sometimes, the only way to save yourself is to leave, and there's no shame in that. Third, success is the best response to those who doubted you. I didn't get successful to spite them. I got successful for myself. But the fact that they ended up at my doorstep, desperate and broken, while I thrived, that's just karma doing its job. Fourth, you don't owe anyone who hurt you a second chance. People love to preach forgiveness and compassion, but compassion for others shouldn't come at the cost of your own well-being. You can forgive someone and still refuse to help them. Those aren't contradictory. Finally, the best revenge isn't destruction. It's becoming so successful, so happy, so complete that their absence becomes irrelevant. They kicked me out thinking I'd fail. They showed up at my door thinking I'd save them. I did neither. I simply lived my best life, and that was enough. To every woman in a toxic marriage, to every person being abused by their in-laws, to everyone being told to adjust to cruelty. You deserve better. You deserve respect. You deserve peace. And you deserve to walk away from anyone who makes you feel less than. They might kick you out. They might mock you. They might predict your failure. Let them. Because the sweetest revenge is succeeding in spite of them. Building a life so beautiful that their opinions become background noise. And when they come back, desperate and broken, asking for help, you'll have the power to choose. And whatever you choose, don't feel guilty. You owe them nothing. My in-laws kicked me out thinking I was nothing. They showed up at my doorstep years later, begging for help. I closed the door, and I've never looked back. That's not cruelty. That's survival. That's growth. That's justice. And that's how you win.